What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today, we're going to be chatting about Season 4, Episode 10, Carnage of Krell. And I've got a big group with me here today, you guys. So first up, we've got, returning to the channel, my friend DJ.
What's up?
Joining me also for this video, we've got Abbie the Star Wars Story.
Hey, everyone.
And also returning to the channel, please welcome Orcaz.
What's up, guys?
So we've got a big group here today talking about this episode of the Clone Wars, an episode that is, for a lot of people, just a fantastic episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, putting a nice bow on the gift that is the Umbara arc for sure. So as we get into the usual housekeeping stuff here, this episode was directed by Kyle Dunleavy, written by Matt Miknovitz. The cookie for this episode: our actions define our legacy. And as always, without any further ado, intro guy, let everybody know what's going down in this episode. While fighting to control the darkened world of Umbara, Anakin Skywalker's battalion is temporarily placed under the command of Jedi General PONG Krell. As Krell's disastrous strategies results in increasing casualties, his men begin to turn against him. Captain Rex struggles to balance his loyalty between his commander and his fellow men. Under his watch, Fives and Jesse disobey Krell's orders, resulting in their court-martial. Thank you, intro guy. And yeah, as he said, we've been going through this arc here on Umbara. DJ, you've had the pleasure of joining me for several episodes to chat with me about this arc, and I really want to start out with you, man. What did you think of this first scene here where we talk where Krell reveals that he's not going to give the boys a court-martial and he's going to prepare for their execution?
That did not surprise me by any means, because knowing how he's been trending upwards for being a strict general to the point where oh yeah, forget the court-martial, I'm just going to execute them. That didn't surprise me one bit. And that just made me hate him even more, because he's just nothing more than a cruel guy with no heart. That
scene definitely annoyed me as well, because it's bro, what is it? These guys disobeyed orders. All right, we get it. You don't gotta kill him over it. As Jesse says here in a minute, it's look, I understand a court-martial and putting us in jail, but now he wants to kill us. He's got that authority and everything, I guess, as Rex would say. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. Orcaz, do you want to walk us through this, the execution scene, and let us kind of know your thoughts through all that?
Yeah, that was a very tense scene. I feel like everyone would know that they're actually not gonna execute those clones. Even though the show can get pretty dark for a kids show, I feel like everyone kind of knew they weren't just gonna blatantly execute Fives and Jesse like that. But it still is a very tense moment, and a lot of stuff goes on. The speech that Fives makes, before they fire and obviously miss them. But that was a really good scene where it's we're good soldiers and we follow orders, but we're not a bunch of unthinking droids. We have to be trusted to make the right decisions and go against orders that we know are wrong. That's just exactly what it should be for the clones. They're not droids, they're humans that can make their own decisions and follow or not follow bad orders, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you notice too, when Tup fires his shot, they zone in on him specifically, and he closes his eyes while you do it. So you already know, okay, well, he clearly wasn't going to be the one to fire the shot that kills them. But obviously everyone else ends up missing too. But I love freaking teacher's pet Dogma, as DJ and I have dubbed him at this point, just walks in acting all calm, cool, collected. I've got this whole thing under control. I'm just gonna kill my fellow brothers without question, none of that. And he tries to act like the commander and everything. But I love when Rex is look, these guys are doing the right thing, because if this is how soldiers are treated for doing heroic efforts, then one day everyone in this battalion could end up in this spot.
With Dogma too, he was just so proud of being, in charge. He's well, the prisoners request to be blindfolded. I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? You're not commander. You're just in charge of this stupid thing because Krell put you there. Who cares?
Yeah, right. No, I know. And every episode, he's well, obviously General Krell knows what he's doing. And I love, we were talking about in the last episode too, they're all sitting there gossiping, right? And then Dogma walks in the room. It's all right, everybody stop talking. Here comes teacher's pet. We got to stop.
I love how Fives was just I hope you can live with yourself, Dogma.
Yeah, right. Like, I hope you can live with the fact that you're
Mhm.
about to kill two of
Yeah.
your fellow brothers. Like, my goodness.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, honestly, how like Carell was just so mad about it. He's like, I wanted these guys dead. And then Rex is like going on, and then whenever Carell orders him, he's like, it's Captain, sir. I love that part because he's standing up to Carell. He's finally doing it. He's finally like going off and not following the orders directly and kind of standing up to Carell, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, yeah, Krell's just like, you're making a huge mistake by crossing me. And Rex just finally has that moment where he's like, you're talking to a captain right now, sir. Like, get that right. And
Mhm.
yeah, they just have like that intense stare off that gets cut off by, I guess, a fellow clone using that transmitter, which is funny because I thought the enemy had jammed their transmissions last time. Interesting.
Hint, hint.
And so then Krell warns them, be warned, guys. It's never happened before, but there's a chance that the enemy might disguise themselves as clones and use that to trick us. And dumb little 12-year-old, 11-year-old me, when I was watching this episode, I was kind of there for it. Like, oh yeah, maybe they will do that. Why I thought that, I don't know, but whatever. But I guess, Orcaz, walk me through. This next scene, man, is super, super emotional. I want you to walk me through that, man.
Dude, I can't with that scene, man. I just watched the episode this week again to prepare for this video, and man, it hits hard. I remember when I was doing my watch through, like the whole chronological order watch through, watching all of those episodes and then watching that episode to get to that moment. That made me shed tears, bro. Like, you can't not. Like, that is such a sad scene, seeing them literally shoot down their own brothers, the shock of it all. Like, because of course we might know as an audience they might be doing that, but the clones don't know that. They don't know that they would ever accidentally or purposefully, under someone's orders, shoot their own brothers. Like, that's just, it's so heartbreaking, so shocking to see when Rex finds out about it, waving his hands in the air. We're shooting our own men. Like,
and to add to that real quickly, if I can just chime in for just a second. When I watched this episode first time through, like, I didn't know. So, and it wasn't until they showed the shot of like Rex looking at one of the down boys, and I was like, oh my God, there's a clone under there, isn't there? That's not an Umbaran. And then when it is, like you say, it's just that initial shock factor of everything. Yeah, it's insane.
And then Waxer's death too. We were probably gonna get to that as well, but
go ahead.
Waxer's death, bro, that just makes me shed tears even more, bro.
I hate it so much.
It sucked.
It was so sad, especially seeing Numa's face paint on his helmet, bro. Like,
I know. You can't do that to us, man. And of course, like, it had to be Waxer too, right?
Yeah.
Like the one that was like the compassionate clone to Numa in that Ryloth episode, right? Like, I don't know if this necessarily hits the same way if it's Boyle, even though he did warm up to her at the end. I think just the idea that it was Waxer and this like clone that very much cared about everyone around him, and then he's the one that falls victim to this freaking Carnage of Krell, haha, title of the episode. It's insane.
The fact that he was the one that was like always nice to her from the beginning. Yeah.
Kevin Kiner killed it with the music as well. Like, just that dark tone of like, oh my gosh, everybody's shooting at their own men and stuff. And when Rex runs and he like dives on that one clone, he's like, look, you're clones. You're all clones.
Everyone, stop firing! We're shooting at our own men! They're not Umbarans! They're clones! They're clones! Whoa. Look! We're clones! We're all clones!
He goes over to Waxer and Rex is like, who gave the orders to attack us? And he said it was General Krell. He told us the enemy would be at these coordinates. They were wearing our armor, but it was you. And Rex just has this look on his face like, all right, enough's enough. We're taking this son of a bitch down. Like, this can't go on.
He's all mad at this point. He just doesn't care. He's like, all right, whoever wants to join me and kill this guy, please stand forward. And then no one hesitated one bit. And
yeah, everyone just stepped forward
like
immediately. Like, yeah, we're all in on this.
And then from that point, he's like, we're in uncharted territory, boys. My orders are we arrest him for treason against the Republic. And then everyone's just got that look in their face like, yep, let's just get this guy. Get him now.
This shot of Rex walking with the boys to like, and he puts on the helmet. And I sent several people that video the other day of it. It's so iconic and it's so freaking cool. And I told my friend from college, I said, dude, I'm at this point in the Clone Wars, man. And he's like, dude, I can't wait for this. And it's just this moment of like, all right, these boys mean business. And they all start walking forward. Dogma obviously stops because he's very hesitant about this whole thing. Meanwhile, the boys are still going through the plan, but we can't do this without two of our other fellow brothers, Fives and Jesse. We got to go get them. They go into the room. So Rex walks in and he says, General Krell, you're being relieved of duty. And General Krell, in this beautiful bit of dialogue, never said before in Star Wars, first time ever sort of thing goes, it's treason then. Never done before. That was the first time. He even did the scream. That was all part of it. Nothing that's never happened before. Anyway, Rex goes on. He's like, surrender, General. Like, you're outnumbered. And Krell's like, well, you're committing a mutiny here, Captain. And he goes, explain your actions. Krell's like, my actions? Like, as he kind of looks puzzled by the fact that, like, everyone is surrounding him like I'm the victim. He's like, bro, you ordered all your troops against one another. And Krell's just like, oh, that. Oh, I'm surprised you were able to figure that out for a clone. And that's something that DJ and I touched on in the first episode. Never looked at them as people, always as machines, always as droids, never as actual people. And then that man just does not hesitate, force pushes everybody across the room. And then, double sabers at hand. It's the one time we actually get to see him use the cool double-bladed sabers in the show, besides the time he went after those two bugs. And he's using it on our own boys. So I hate that.
Still unfortunate.
Abbie, do you want to walk us through the scene where Dogma has like that little stand with Rex and the boys right before they go after Krell?
That scene is like it's a very tense scene because, they're trying to convince Dogma that he's in the wrong here, that he shouldn't be following Krell blindly. And Dogma is just still standing with it. It's like, dude, get out of the way or help. Okay, I don't care which, but do something. But instead, he just stands there and is trying to convince everyone that they're in the wrong and that he's in the right and that they should be trusting Krell and yada, yada, yada.
Rex is like, look, we're not droids. You have to be able to make your own decisions. And I love how he even looks over at Tup, who's like supposedly his friend at this point, because he was going to go tattletale with Dogma in the last episode. But even he looks at him like, bro, Dogma, don't do it. And so then, he puts the blaster down, they charge after him and take him down. Look, I give Dogma credit, right? Like, he really thought that this dude had their best interests in mind. But then I think he kind of has to realize, like, bro, all of your brothers realize that this dude is in the wrong. I mean, the dude's got blind loyalty, but I guess it's just about where you put that loyalty, right? Like, Rex kind of was trying to struggle to figure it out this entire time, too. Where do I put that loyalty? And Rex made his choice. Dogma made his. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that piece of dialogue that Rex has, that's one of his best pieces of dialogue in the entire show, to be honest, where it's like, I used to think being a good soldier meant doing everything they taught you. That's how we were engineered to think. But we're not droids. We have to make our own choices. That's such a good scene. And it's understandable for Dogma to be this way as well. Like, you're under a Jedi general, one of the top people in the entire army. Like, following authority for a lot of people is like the only thing you'll do. You can't think for yourself because you think you're supposed to be under authority no matter what. So it's understandable for Dogma to be this way.
Yeah, for sure. DJ, walk me through this scene here where they're like walking through the forest and then like Krell has like that crazy like moment where he's like yelling at them from whatever trees he's hiding on. Walk us through that.
Oh my goodness, that was kind of creepy. I felt like I was watching a horror movie on Halloween because like he was like saying that, having that evil laugh, and he was like, you should have listened to the ARC Trooper from the beginning. And then he just comes out, starts killing the clones, and then he's like, you've all been my pawns. And then everyone just starts shooting at him, and we have this like back and forth action. It's like, okay, are they going to do something here, or are all the clones going to get killed off here? Because I could see that happening.
The moment when those 5 clones like all stood back to back like that and Krell jumps in, like I saw that coming a mile away. I was like, dude, no, you can't do that. That's your prime pickings. You're not even like not trying to hide nothing. You're just out in the open. Like, all right, if we all stand back to back and there he is above us and they're dead. Like, yeah, no, that was never going to work out.
The 5 clones were classic noobs in Fortnite. You know, they all stuck in open. They got killed off. And then next thing you know, Tup gets force pushed by the monster from the first episode we discussed earlier.
The moving plants with the vines for arms or whatever. I forget what they're called, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, Tup's like, Rex, get everyone over here now. Make sure Krell gets to the beast or whatever. And then Rex is like, okay. And then next thing you know, they get Krell over there and then they stun Krell. And sure enough, who would have thought that a group of clones would be able to capture a Jedi?
It was very Order 66 like, kind of, right? And kind of like foreshadowing what the clones would end up doing, and I guess sort of the creativity that they might have to use to kill a Jedi, you know? It is funny though. I think Orcaz was mentioning before, I'm just thinking about it now, about this whole like good soldiers follow orders thing. It's like every time I've heard that line post Tup killing Tipley in season 6, it's just like every time I hear that line, it just takes me back to that. And I'm like, oh, good soldiers following orders isn't a good thing. But it's like, no, here it's a good soldier is being able to make your own decisions and not just doing things in the heat of the moment because someone tells you to do it, right? Orcaz, if you want to walk us through the scene where they got Krell in prison and he talks about like a new power rising and all that.
That's one of my favorite moments in this episode as well. There's a million good moments in this episode, but this moment was so good where it's like Rex starts off, he's like, why kill your own men? And he's like, because I can, because you fell for it, because you're inferior. Krell has thought they've been inferior from this whole time, from the very first moment where he's like, I'm surprised you're able to recognize like valor or something for a clone. And he says that to Rex. And now he's like, yeah, I did all this because you guys are inferior. And, you know, obviously he also reveals that he wants to be an agent for Dooku because he can sense that the Republic is going to be ripped from the inside and a new power is going to rise above that. And so I'm assuming he thinks that it's Dooku that's going to be doing that stuff. So that's why he wants to be his agent. So he
even said apprentice. He didn't even just say agent. He's like, I want to be his apprentice.
Yeah. Because that's weird to me because I didn't think Krell would know that he is a Sith Lord, because even Obi-Wan doesn't know that. Like, he doesn't even know Dooku is Tyrannus in season 6. I don't know how that correlates, but it's interesting to think that Krell knows he's a Sith Lord.
Here's the thing, right? Like, the dark side was clouding the vision of the Jedi throughout the war. But if you remember, like, even in season 7, like, Maul knew everything that was going to happen in Revenge of the Sith. So maybe, like, Krell was at a point where he had fallen so far down the dark path that he was able to not be blinded by it. So he could now then see, like, ooh, maybe there is something to this whole thing. Like, this Dooku, like, is a Sith Lord, you know, Tyrannus, all that. Oh, he's going to be the future of all this. Like, I want to be a part of that.
And obviously he doesn't know all the details because he doesn't know Palpatine's Darth Sidious and everything.
Right.
He had a good idea of it from what I could tell. And then also once he says all that, we get to Dogma where he's like, how could you do all this? I followed all your orders and you made me kill my brothers. And he's like, yeah, because that's because you were the biggest fool of them all. I counted on blind loyalty like yours for me to succeed.
Yep. Yeah, and dude, oh my gosh. Dude, I do kind of slightly feel bad for Dogma in all this. Like, I say only slightly because, like, the dude just, like, didn't know when to shut up at times. But, like, I don't know. It just, I understand it from his perspective. And I get that he was, you know, trying to be loyal and all these things like that. But I guess no one could have really counted on the fact that, like, oh yeah, this dude's actually trying to kill us. And that's why I don't envy the 501st in this whole arc, because you take this now into context, right? The fact that Krell was trying to have them killed the whole time. I mean, look at that one battle that they had 2 episodes ago where they're going up against those giant tanks and Krell's telling them, you need to lead a full frontal assault, doing that full well knowing that they were going to get killed, right? So it then gives credence to the 501st for being able to come up with all these different ways to work around their general trying to legit get them killed, you know? So I think that this arc does such a phenomenal job of like establishing the clones, giving them all these different personalities. D. Bradley Baker is a freaking legend for voicing all these different people and giving them all these different personalities. And it all comes together so well in this arc. DJ, walk me through the scene right before they go to kill Krell. The one where they're like debating about it.
Well, at that point, everyone's just like, what do we do here? Because Krell could escape, since he's a powerful Jedi. Everyone's like, as long as Krell's still alive, he's a threat to all of us. And who knows if he gets out and lets the Umbarans know all our hacks and codes. And then all of a sudden, a clone, this is the scene. A clone comes up and was like, apparently the transmitter was
the transmitter was sabotaged. Yeah.
And then everyone's like, yep, no hesitation. Everyone's like, let's kill him now. Just get it over with. We can't have this. We can't have it anymore.
Dude, it's so crazy that Orcaz said before, this is a kid show, but bro, we're talking about straight up executing someone right now. And when I forget who says the line, but one of the clones says, as long as Krell's alive, he's a threat to every one of us. And I just remember sitting there
that was tough.
Yeah, no, we got to kill this guy. It was tough. Okay. Yeah, we got. I'm like, dude, we gotta kill this guy. He's gonna get away. He's gonna turn over all our stuff. We gotta put an end to this. Then they go to kill him. Abbie, do you want to walk me through the death scene of Krell?
Well, once they get down there, we know that Rex is like, well, get on your walk towards the wall, turn around, walk towards the wall, get on your knees, and that scene whenever Krell's like, you're in power, how does it feel? And Rex doesn't answer, and he's like, it feels good, doesn't it? I was like, wow, that scene is it's really weird because it's like, okay, that's odd because Rex is trying so hard to just get it over with, and he's like, you won't do it, clone, you can't. And then this is after they've already let Dogma out, and so after so long of just Krell going on and gone about it, we see the Dogma just takes him out, which I was honestly super happy about because I'm like, Krell deserves it. I'm sorry, but he does.
I think honestly, part of me kind of wishes that it was. I get why it wasn't Fives, but there was a part of me that's like, dude, if anybody's been screwed over by this guy, it's Fives. He should have been the one to take the shot. But I also understand it from Dogma's perspective. This dude was the most loyal to Krell. And it was that loyalty that ultimately betrayed him. And I think it also brings up this interesting point of even after Dogma kills him, Dogma's still arrested, right? Because treason and all that stuff. I think David talked about it in the behind the scenes that the Republic would have to launch this whole investigation on Krell and his murder and what all happened on Umbara. So I think it almost if Rex would have been the one to pull the trigger, then he probably would have been the one that got arrested, or whoever pulled that trigger probably would have gotten arrested, even though Krell was a traitor.
I agree. That would have happened.
It was cool that it was Dogma. I liked it. I think in reality, it was Dogma that was screwed over the most by Krell, because he was the one that blindly followed him the most. He thought General Krell was the actual good guy, and all his brothers were just being rebellious and stuff. But no, his brothers were right the entire time, and he was emotionally, mentally manipulated by Krell to do all of that stuff, and that weighed on him. So it makes sense that it was Dogma that did end up killing him.
This is the scene that we have whenever Dogma is getting fully arrested, and he's taken on the ship. I love that little nod that he gives to Rex, and Rex kind of is approving. Rex knows what happened, Rex knows what went on, and I like that scene a lot because it's just kind of a remembrance scene.
Sure. Absolutely. And then right at the end, I think maybe we didn't necessarily give context before, but I'm sure for people who watch this probably have seen the episodes, but they had taken the capital. General Kenobi's forces took the capital right before the execution scene. And then they said after the execution scene, General Kenobi's forces wiped up the remaining Umbara camps. We did it. We took Umbara. And that was sort of the end of that whole mission. But Fives has this line where he's or I think Rex says what's the point in all this? And why? And Fives is look, what I do know is someday this war is going to end. And Rex goes, well, we're soldiers. What happens to us then? And it is kind of one of those things in that moment, yeah, no, what does happen to you guys then? Obviously at the time we still would have had the movies and stuff. We would know yeah, the clones, they betray the Jedi, all this stuff. We didn't even have the chips at this point yet, so that wouldn't have even been a possibility. But yeah, what does happen to the clones after the war? What does it mean? Are they treated as soldiers or as veterans? And we kind of see later on as we get more lore in different parts of Star Wars that really doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, we get the projects like the Bad Batch, obviously.
Yeah.
We other clones to remember Nax from the Kenobi show, where he's just a homeless person on that one planet.
Right.
In episode 2, it's like the clones weren't treated the best after this war. It's sad.
I kept telling people, and I even said it in a lot of my videos as well, like, I want this redemption arc for the clones post Order 66. And I keep harboring home this point about like, oh, we need to have like a Clone Rebellion show. I need like a show with like Rex and all of like the rebellion part that he's building, because I don't want the clones to go out as slaves of the Empire. I want them to go out as heroes of the Republic. And even just to have like one final battle, have them make one final stand against the Empire where they get to go out in a blaze of glory and laying their lives down for a cause that they still believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice that with Gregor in Rebels, where he obviously
yes,
himself. Yeah, that was a nice part in Rebels, but I agree it would be cool to see like a Clone Rebellion show where there's this huge fight with the clones and the Empire.
And this whole Umbara arc, I think, is is one of the main reasons why people are so invested in the clones, because even if you weren't necessarily invested in the clones before, by this point, I think you would be. And then what it would do is cause you to go back and watch previous episodes. And then you understand more about people like Jesse or Hardcase, and you're looking for little things in their characters, and you're really invested in what it is that they're doing. So I thought this arc from start to finish did an amazing job. DJ, if you want to like sum up this arc for me in like a couple words or give me any thoughts that you got, man. What do you got?
Overall, this arc was probably one of the best in season 4 and perhaps all of Clone Wars. Like, it was probably one of the best arcs I've ever saw watching Clone Wars. Yeah,
for sure. Abbie, what about you?
I definitely think it was a good arc. We get to see a lot of growth for the clones. I feel like we got to see that they can't always trust the orders that they're given.
Right. Orcaz, what about you?
Yeah, this arc is a top 5 arc in the Clone Wars for sure. For most people, it's top 3, and this episode in particular, for me, is a top 5 episode in the entire show as well. It wraps everything up perfectly. Amazing clone-centered moments, amazing battles and stuff. Just great stuff overall.
And I think on that note, you guys, that is going to wrap us up for today. Thank you guys, DJ, Abbie, Orcaz. Thank you all for joining me for this video here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you.
Of course. And thank you all for checking out this video. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Oh my gosh, wait. Next week, we're going to be talking about... I don't remember the name of the episode, but it's the start of the Kadavo arc where the
Zygerian.
Yeah, where the Zygerians capture all the Torgrutans and stuff. Yeah. So we'll be getting part 1 of that next week. Orcaz, what was that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first episode's called Kidnapped.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Is those 3 episodes, and then the Cad Bane Obi-Wan stuff is after that. So yeah, there's gonna be so much to look forward to for the remainder of season 4. All 3 of you are welcome on here anytime to chat with me about Clone Wars or anything Star Wars, so definitely keep that in mind. And once again, thank you everybody for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Count Dooku, we have chosen to remain neutral in this war. Why have you launched this invasion against us?
Think of our presence as a peaceful occupation, for your protection as well as ours.